Well, I kind of backed into it the way so many of the things we do in our lifetimes are backed into. Uh, I loved vanilla as a child. I was given a little bottle of Schilling's vanilla when empty from my mother, and I used to sit in the garden and just smell it because the aroma is so intoxicating. At the same time, I was always very, very interested in people in exotic, undeveloped areas of the world. So that the two should tie together in 1986 when I ended up writing a book, a recipe book, but it also had history with it, about vanilla in 1986. I had no idea that these two passions would suddenly come together. But they did, and it happened that the academic community was starting to really look at foods of the Americas for the first time as so significant in the world's development of food. And so I was invited to speak at the Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. Went. That particular event was taped, and the tapes were sent around the world, and I was invited to speak at an international event in Mexico in '92. And I decided at that moment, I'm going down to see this vanilla growing region. And when I got there, I discovered, much to my absolute shock, that I was a celebrity in this region, that my book had been brought by McCormick and Company, the world's largest seller of vanilla, because they had put pictures in this book. And all of the farmers knew who I was, all of the major farmers, not the indigenous farmers. Would I help them save the Mexican vanilla industry? I've since learned that's about impossible, but it certainly propelled me into the world of vanilla. And after several years of doing research there, I became known locally as the Vanilla Queen. So when I launched my online business at vanilla.com, I was suddenly available worldwide to anyone who had access, of course, to the internet. And this was 2001, right at the beginning of the worst crisis in the world for vanilla. So suddenly, farmers in Papua New Guinea were traveling 6 hours to an internet cafe to find out a place to sell their vanilla beans, or vanilla pods, as we say in the UK. And there I was, known as the Vanilla Queen. So it spread like wildfire, enough so that one of the chief purchasers of vanilla for McCormick and Company would go into the smallest village to find out if he could procure their pods. And the people would say, well, we've heard about McCormick, but do you know who the Vanilla Queen is? Does she know you? And so it was really quite by happenstance, in part, that I became known internationally as the Vanilla Queen. But I feel as if I earned that position because I was able to help small farmers who had no chance before the crisis to sell their beans, to be able to sell them and purchase a generator for the village or a truck, or be able to find a company who would buy their products consistently. And this was huge because until this point, there was no transparency in the industry. And I made it transparent for the farmers and have since then helped farmers get educational opportunities to travel to other countries, to participate on a global level, so that farmers worldwide could communicate with each other through an online Google project I started. So that's how I became the Vanilla Queen and how I earned the title.